Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Real quick, I'm going to drop in the PayPal logo into Blender, and I think I'm just going to try to recreate it from scratch and just kind of see what we can do here. So let's go ahead and get started. We're in Blender 3.4, I believe. I'm going to delete this light, delete the cube, and then you need an add-on called Add Image as Plane, so make sure you have that enabled. I'm going to add the image as planes, go to my downloads, and I'm going to locate the image that I want. It looks like it is right here. There was another one, but I don't see it. So I'm just going to use this one. So we have our logo. Let me just go into rendered view. I'm going to rotate this on the y-axis 90. Actually, y negative 90. Perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my camera and I'm going to place it on the top-down view. So I'm just going to set every single aspect to 0. And then I'm going to move it all the way above our scene GZ, snap to my camera view. Then I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees so we're facing our logo like this. Now I'm going to go ahead and save my project, hop over to Cycles, GPU. I'm going to add in a plane here, scale it up, and I'm going to move it down on the Z-axis a little bit under this. I'm also going to go to our world settings, and I think I'm going to add in just a nice white world for now so we can see what we're doing. Scale our PayPal logo up a bit, and then I'm going to basically trace each one of these P's, overlay them on top of each other, and I'm going to apply a texture. So first I'm going to head over to our material preview. I'm going to go ahead and add in I think what I'm going to add in is probably a plane. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up. Okay, I'm going to go back to our Z-axis. I'm going to scale this down, and I'm just going to move it into place here. Right about there. Again, I'm scaling it down to kind of match this texture here. This looks pretty good. I think that's perfect. Now I'm going to tab into edit mode. I'm going to subdivide this, and then I'm just going to start by just kind of forming our shape here. So the very first thing I'm going to do is just take this vertice. I'm going to move it on our y-axis out to the corner here. I'm going to take this one, move that on our y-axis as well, and then I'm going to take this one, move that on the y-axis as well. And I'm basically just going to be taking each one of these points and moving them as I see fit. So I think I'm going to bring this one all the way up to the corner up here, just like that. Just bring this one towards the middle. That looks really good. Bring this one up here. And I'm just going to move these to the corners so that everything is looking good. Perfect. And then I think right here, I'm going to take these two, or actually I'm going to take this segment and I'm going to extrude it this way, just like that. I'm going to go back to my vertex select, and then I'm just going to continue to drag everything as needed here. This looks pretty good. And then I'm going to do the same thing that I just did and repeat. Again, guys, I'm just using a plane here. I'm going to scale that down a bit, move it, and then I'm going to go back to my vertex select mode. And eventually I'm going to apply a solidify modifier, but as of right now, I'm pretty happy with where we're at so far. Again, this is kind of a crude way to do it. This is the way that I decided I wanted to do this. So you guys, there's many, many ways to do this. You could use the curve tool. You could probably use a cube and extrude that if you wanted to. Literally 1,000,010 ways that you could go about doing this. I just decided I wanted to do it this way. And what I'm going to do, even though this is very, very crude, is I'm going to add a subdivision modifier after this, and it's going to clean everything up for us. So I think that should be good. And now what I want to do is I just want to move this vertice up right here. I'm just going to move this up a bit, like right about there, just so we have a little bit better topology. Save this, and then I'm going to add a subdivision surface, and you see how that's going to smooth everything out for us. And then we're going to go back in and refine everything. So now what we're going to do is add in some loop cuts. So I'm going to add in a loop cut here. That looks good. I'm going to add one down here, and again I'm just trying to match these curves as closely as possible. And then I'm going to take this vertex right here, move it up. As you can see, our modifiers are updating in real time, which is great. Cool. Everything's nice and smooth. Let me go ahead and move this out. And I'm trying to match these curves as best as I can. They look pretty good. I'm going to add in another one right here. Cool. And I'm going to take these two, move them a bit. Again, I'm trying to match this the best that I can. Does not have to be perfect. You guys get the trick. And it looks pretty good. It's just down here. We just need a little bit of work. Oops. Again, we're just taking these vertices. Make a little loop cut down here. Right about there. Go ahead and adjust this as follows. Kind of hard to get some of these edges perfect, but you guys get the idea. All right, let me tab out of edit mode and see how that looks. That looks pretty decent. I think I'm going to go with that. Now, another thing that I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to add in the solidify modifier. So let's go ahead and add in solidify right here. And then we should be able to thicken that up. That looks perfect. And then I'm going to go back to my rendered view, and I'm going to duplicate this, right? Move it over here to where the other one is. It actually looks like the other one is just slightly shorter, so I'm going to shrink that down on the x-axis. And the y-axis as well. It looks like it's actually not the exact shape as the other one. Surprising, actually. I'm going to undo all that real quick. We might have to go back into edit mode with this one and just double check the scale of everything, because it looks like it's completely different. So I'm actually going to go back into edit mode. I am going to scale. Well, first I'm going to scale this on the y-axis a little bit. I'm surprised to see that it's not the exact same. I actually really genuinely thought it was. So I'm going to keep scaling it here. That looks pretty good, and then we just need to adjust this part down here. So for this part, I'm just going to take all of these, scale them up a bit, move them. Actually, I'm going to take just these ones, move those up, scale those up a bit. Take this one in here. Perfect. Then we want to take these two, see where that starts. Wow, it's literally not the same at all. I'm very surprised, guys. Very, very surprised. But it's okay. We're just going to take that, kind of go with it, and we'll go from there. All right, cool. So we have our solidify modifier on this one. We have this one on top of this, like that. And then we're just going to go ahead and try our best to match these colors. I'm going to give these each a glass shader. And then I'm going to go ahead and use the color picker, try to pick that color right there. Roughness, very low. Make sure we're on GPU here. We are. I'm going to copy the material over, and then I'm going to duplicate this, and I am going to do the same thing. Use that color picker, get that nice bright blue. Brighten this one up a bit too. That looks good. I'm going to go ahead and hide this. Bring our floor up a bunch. Go back to our camera here, and let's just see what we have so far. It's not looking too bad. We might need some more subdivisions there. Just make this thing really nice and smooth. Shade auto smooth, shade auto smooth. It's a little rough around some of the edges, so I think I'm going to go back in there and clean that up. But so far, this is more or less how you would go about doing this. I don't think it looks terrible at all. I'm actually going to move our camera down. I'm going to go to an orthographic perspective, and I'm actually going to take the camera, rotate it this way, kind of scale it in, and I think I'm going to do 1080 by 1920. Scale this up a bunch. I think I'm going to also make this a metallic surface with low roughness. I love the way this is coming out. And then I actually want to use an environment texture, so I'm going to switch over to an environment texture here. Go to my HDRIs, and then let's just choose something maybe like wintry. That looks decent. Maybe raise that exposure a little bit. And then we're going to go ahead and give this a filmic look with high contrast. I'm going to zoom my camera in a bit here. And I'm going to clean up those edges in a second there because they're looking a little bit rough. But you guys get the main idea. And what's really nice about this is now that we have this solidify modifier, we can make these as thick as we want. I think 0.25 is perfect. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Move this down. And I think I'm also going to enable caustics here, and I'm going to actually add in a point light. Perfect. So we got our point light right here. And then I'm going to make this like 2000 for the brightness. Just like that. I'm going to go ahead and make this floor plane a little bit darker here. And bring it down on the Z-axis. And then I'm going to bring our light up, increase that radius a little bit, and then I'm going to enable shadow caustics on the light, and I'm going to enable shadow caustics on the plane. And then for these two objects, cast shadow caustics, and as you can see down here, we're getting the shadow caustics, which look really good. I'm going to go over to my light paths. I'm going to bump everything to 5, just like I usually do. 25. Filter glossy 0. Caustics are good. And then I'm just going to mess around with this right here a little bit. Oops. We might be able to get away with a gradient texture in the background. Or we just, you know what we could do instead of a HDRI? We'll just do a hue and saturation, which is totally fine. You can do that. Maybe just make it slightly gray. That looks okay. And I want to experiment with different options here with this lighting scenario. That looks pretty cool. Whoa, that looks kind of cool. I actually don't mind that. Now you see how we're getting this glossy thing right here? I believe we can get rid of that by going to our visibility and clicking on glossy, or no, is it diffuse? It's one of these. Oh, we have to click on this and do glossy. There's one of these that we can completely disable, and I don't remember which one it is. But how cool is this that we can just easily set up this camera shot here? I just love how easy it is in Blender. It looks pretty decent. Again, we're working off the PayPal logo here. It looks really cool. Now, I would say one thing. The camera probably should be a little bit higher, too. Like, more like this. And maybe we should tilt it a little bit. Maybe, like... Because I'm trying to imagine if... Because the PayPal logo really should be straight on. And then we'll adjust the light accordingly. Get that light closer. Go to our floor plane again, kind of mess around with that a bit. Do we want to be rough or metallic? Part of me thinks it should just be like a regular roughness. Very bright. Bring that camera. I do want a slight rotation, but I'm also like, do we want to be straight on top of our PayPal logo? I kind of like what we had before, actually, with this off to the side, so I'm going to undo. Kind of like that. I don't know. It was kind of sharp. The only thing that's not sharp is the actual logo itself. We do need to fix some of that type topology didn't look too good. But we still have that nice, perfectly aligned edge there. I actually want to move this on the Y-axis just a little bit. Just enough where there's no break between the two. I feel like that looks pretty good. Can we get away with a bevel on these? I'm tempted to try it. I'm a little nervous. I feel like a bevel isn't going to work. I can tell it wants to work. Maybe we can put it before the solidify. No. Yeah, I don't think a bevel is going to work. It like almost works. It's definitely because of the way that we did this. Although we could solidify it, like we could actually apply the solidify modifier, probably go back in there and do this. But for now, I'm not going to do that. I also kind of am tempted to just make this background just a little bit blue. Just like a slight blue hint, just like that. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Maybe lower that roughness a bit. And then maybe just increase the light paths a little bit more. 50. We're really pushing this thing, but that's okay. And then I think for the samples, I'm going to do 1,000. This looks really, really cool, though, for just like PayPal logo just in 3D. Again, guys, this is kind of a rudimentary way to actually go about doing it. Like, the way that I went about doing the actual topology is definitely not the way you should do it. So don't think this is the best way. I would say that it's not. It looks good, and I'm happy with it, but it's definitely not the best way to go about doing what I did. So, again, guys, I'm sorry about that, but it's just what I ended up doing. One thing I do want to do is fix, I think it was this edge here. Yeah, I feel like this should have one more loop cut there. I don't know, like right there. I think it's this part here that's tripping me up. Where's our logo? Oh, how am I so off now? That's weird. Oh, was I snapped to the camera when I was doing that? I feel like I was. No way. Okay, I was snapped to the camera. Oh, well. I am going to tab out of edit mode, scale this down a bit, and I'm going to double check this edge here because this edge is looking sloppy. Oof. Sorry you guys had to see that. Oh man, that looks bad. I didn't realize how bad it looked until I like looked at it again. Sorry guys, I'm in the flow. When I don't talk, I'm in the flow. And I was just in the flow for a moment there. Trying to snap out of it here. This is looking sharp now. What's great about this is we still have all of our modifiers applied, so all we have to do now is like get out of edit mode and we are good to go. This is looking great though. I'm happy enough with that. Oops. Okay, there we go. This is looking really sick. I'm more or less pretty happy with it. There is one area on the top right that I'm not happy with. Hold on. I think it's like right in here somewhere. Is it this area? I think it's fine. I don't want to like overstress it. You guys get the main idea, but this looks kind of sick, right? I feel like we could do more of these style tutorials. I just feel like they're useful for you guys just to kind of like see the process, like how things are set up, like how you can set them up, how minimal you can get with it. Like there's one point light. We can obviously mess around with the radius. You see how when I decrease the radius, it completely adjusts the sharpness of the shadow. But then if I increase it like too much, then we have to move it because it's got that glossy glare there. The only other thing I can think of is we could add in another light source, an area light. We could rotate it like this, scale it, like we can make it a rectangle, scale it a bunch like that, make it really thin, power like 1,000, and we could do some kind of cool lighting effect down here. And we could try to sharpen up these edges. You see how that kind of sharpens up these edges with a nice like light source? We could bring this thing like all the way down here, scale it up. Right. trying to see before and after here. Make that. If you make it 3000, you can really see the light there. And then you can, of course, rotate it as much as you need. Bring it in like that. And for this one, you can actually adjust the... Oh, you can't adjust the radius on the area light, I guess. I thought you could. But this looks pretty cool, right? Like, we have some really, really cool lighting going on here. And these are just... It's just an area light and a point light. And this would be without, right? Which honestly still looks cool by itself. And this would be with. And this is just testing the different lighting scenarios. This light is pretty sharp, so I might scale in the actual thickness of it here a little bit. And then maybe bring it down to 2000. The other cool thing is you can adjust the actual temperature of it as well. So we could make this nice, like, blue light. You know, this really light blue light. Looks pretty cool. And then we can go in here, make it go like that. And then for our camera, which I don't know why I hid that, we want to actually go like this so we can really see like what we're working with here. It's a lot easier to see now. And then for this plane, we can keep adjusting that as we go. We can make it darker for more contrast. I mean, this looks really good. Like, I really just want to go and render this and just kind of see how it looks, because I'm really happy with everything so far. The only thing is I want to lower the saturation a little bit so we can still see the actual the color within this logo here. Again, our logo reference is right here. So you guys see? It's pretty cool. Am I happy with this? I think so. I think we probably could have spent a little bit more time on like the edges and stuff, but overall, like, I do think this was a good tutorial to just kind of cover like the basics of Blender, like some of the basic stuff you can get away with. We started with a plane, we messed with the subdivisions, we messed with the modifiers to solidify them, moved the vertices around, moved the edges around, extruded them to kind of create the shape that we wanted. Could you go about this using just a curved path? Absolutely, and it would be much more accurate. I just didn't really want to get into that today. I wanted to show you guys the absolute basics. So, do I think this looks really cool? Yeah, I actually really, really do. And you could animate this very easily. There's probably one more thing I'm going to do. I'm going to check out my... I'm going to open up a new instance of Blender real quick. And I'm going to find a material that I really like from my material pack. So I'm going to go into my material assets here. And now I downloaded this material library from Ducky 3D. But there was one in particular that I really liked. And it was a metal shader. Where is it? I believe it was one of these ones right here. But I was going to take one of these ones, copy it, kind of paste it over. Let me just go back to solid view here so it doesn't slow down my computer. I was going to paste it in here, right? And then I was going to hide both of these so that the materials are still in the file. Go to rendered view, go to my plane here, and I was just going to mess around with these and just see what we could get this to look like. This one's pretty cool, but again, the shape scale is so small, or sorry, so big that I don't know if I want to do that. So let's go try blocks. Again, pretty cool, a little bit too intense for our render. I still think this looks cool, but I just don't know if it's the shader for us. This one's kind of cool. Would probably make it darker if I did go with it though, like really, really dark. That's kind of cool. And again, you still get kind of some of that cool lighting effect. Again, guys, I'm kind of just messing around with different options here. I didn't mind the one that we had before, which was this. Really, really clean. I think it's perfect. I'd say we just go with it. We could go ahead and get into some crazy shading, but I just think this is like really, really solid as is. And I'm just going to kind of get rid of the floor here, get rid of the 3D cursor, extras. What else we got? Text info, annotations. I'm just getting rid of all this because I want to look at this in its purest form. It just looks so good. I think it's time to render. I'm going to bump up our render to 200% so we get twice the image size here. And then I'm going to go to solid view, render image. We'll go ahead and wait for this to render. This is going to be 1,000 samples. I think it'll take a few minutes. Let's just see. It's saying it's going to take about 9 or 8 minutes. It's going to keep lowering as we go. But you guys will see this posted on my Instagram. I do hope you enjoyed. I hope you guys got some value out of this. I know these edges are a little wonky, so I'll probably come back, fix them up a little bit. But overall, I was really, really happy with how this turned out. I hope you guys found this useful, and I hope to see you guys in the next tutorial. Take it easy.